Hello bookish people, I hope you're having a really lovely day. My name is Annie Page and today's video is my January TBR. I average around 2 to 3 books a month, and in January 2025 I am going to try and triple that number. I am challenging myself to read 10 books in January. So I will be sharing the 10 books that I am planning to read this month. Please comment down below with your most anticipated read on your January TBR. I would love to hear what you were picking up this month. So the way I pick my monthly TBR is by using the StoryGraph app. It has a feature where it will randomly pull a number of books from your TBR pile and recommend them to you. So I use that feature to plan my TBR, as well as trying to read books that are from my backlist. If you want to know a little bit more about how I plan my TBR, what's going to be on my reading lists for the next year, then go and check out my 2025 reading goals, because I go quite in depth about what type of books I'm picking up this year and what my goals are. So yeah, go and check that out if you haven't. I'm not participating in any readathons this month, so this TBR is solely StoryGraph recommendations and some backlist books that I need to get round to. I don't know about you, but I feel an immense pressure to start the year's reading off on a good note. A few years ago, the first 5 books that I picked up in January were all complete flops, and it really soured my reading taste for the next couple of months. It made me feel really desperate to pick up a 5-star read, and then I wasn't reading for enjoyment, I was reading for pure desperation. So I don't want that to happen again this year, but like I said, StoryGraph have picked this TBR, so it's completely out of my control. There are huge varieties of books and genres and authors in this TBR, so let's just get stuck into the books that I am planning on reading in January. Also, I apologise for the really bad lighting in this video. The Christmas tree is completely throwing off the balance. It's blocking out all the natural light, and then obviously it has artificial light on it. So it's completely throwing off the lighting balance, and I don't have a ring light or anything to counteract it. So please just bear with me while the Christmas tree is up. Obviously there aren't that many days left in 2024, so the Christmas tree will soon be gone. But yeah, just bear with me while the lighting is a little bit pants. So the first book on my TBR is The Shadow Sister by Lily Mead. This is a backlist book of mine. This has been on my TBR for 6 months. It's actually the oldest book on my TBR. I talk a bit more about that in my 2025 reading goals, but I have been doing a TBR 0 challenge. I have almost got to the end, so most of the books left on my TBR have been bought within the last 6 months-ish. So this is currently the oldest book on my TBR, so I am trying to get it read so I can keep up to date with the books that I am buying. So this is a YA fantasy, and we follow a girl whose sister has gone missing, and everybody is devastated, and obviously so is our main character. But she is also quite irritated that the people around her have forgotten that actually her sister was not a nice person, and she treated the main character like really badly. Then all of a sudden her sister returns. Our main character is obviously really, really happy, but things are different about her sister. She's not the same sister she was before she left. And weirdly, the sister does not remember any of the bad things she did to our main character before she left. And she seems to be staring at walls a lot. She's content watching the goldfish swim round in circles. She's really quite bizarre. And running alongside this story, we also have the fact that black girls are going missing in the local area, and nobody seems to be paying much attention to that. I was compelled to buy this, as in the tagline / the little description on Amazon, it says that this book is perfect for fans of House of Hollow, and that is one of my absolute favourite books. I absolutely loved House of Hollow. I ate it up. I'm always looking for books with House of Hollow vibes, and I am yet to find one that is spot on. I have found a few, and I might do a if you liked House of Hollow, read this video, because I have found quite a few that have similar vibes. I'm hoping that this one will live up to expectations and be just as wonderful as House of Hollow. The next book on my TBR is what is it? The next book on my TBR is The Third Daughter by Adrienne Tooley. I bought this at the same time as The Shadow Sister, so this has been on my TBR equally as long, so I am trying to get them both off this month. This is a sapphic dual perspective YA fantasy that follows complex family relationships. So in this world, there is a prophecy that states that the highest deity will be reborn as the third daughter of the third daughter and take the throne. When this child is born, everybody rejoices, apart from Elodie, who is the queen's eldest child, because the birth of this child means that she has lost her claim to the throne. So in order to reclaim her right to the throne, she visits an apothecary named Sabine, who gives her a sleeping potion. Elodie returns and uses the sleeping potion against her younger sister, but then Sabine realises that she hasn't actually given Elodie a sleeping potion. She has given her a vial of tears, which holds the power to put someone in an eternal slumber, never to wake up. So the pair must work together to right their wrongs and undo what they have done. Like I said, this is a sapphic romance, so I presume Sabine and Elodie are going to start a relationship somewhere in this book. Book number 3 is a non-fiction, so I will just touch on this really briefly. And this is The Four Tendencies by Gretchen Rue. This one I also bought at the same time as the previous 2 books. These are the only 3 books that did not come from StoryGraph on my TBR this month. So Gretchen Rue has a theory that everybody can be categorized into 4 different sections. You take a quiz, it tells you which one you fit into, and then this book tells you how to live your life, how to be successful, and basically how to be the best version of yourself, depending on which category you fall into. So I fall into the category of rebels. So I'm really interested to see what this book tells me. I'm not going to go into too much more because there's not much else to tell you, and it's incredibly boring listening to people talk about non-fiction books. So let's move on to the next book. So these are the books that StoryGraph picked out for me, and the first one is Wicked by Gregory Maguire. I am absolutely buzzing to pick up this book. I bought this with my Christmas money, and I'm obsessed with Wicked at the moment. I can spend hours telling you my feelings on Wicked. I actually went and got a Wicked tattoo about 3 weeks ago. I am obsessed, so I had to read the book. I have heard that the books are vastly different to the musical. They are a lot darker, a lot grimmer. Like, don't go into the books expecting it to be anything like the musical, and that really intrigues me. So if you are not familiar with the story of Wicked, this is a prequel to The Wizard of Oz. It's written by a different author, so it's kind of fan fiction, but it is a prequel, and it is telling you about how Elphaba, the Wicked Witch, became wicked. When we went to see the film for the first time, I said to my partner, this is a film based on a musical, based on a book, based on a film, based on a musical, based on a book. Wait, no. This is a film based on a musical, based on a book, based on a film, based on a book. That is insane. But yeah, I am very excited to dive into this book. And if you have not seen the Wicked film or the Wicked musical, then I recommend that you do. I have also picked up the Wizard of Oz books to read at some point, but that has not come up in the TBR, so I probably won't be reading those this month, but I am excited to get to them at some point. I am planning on doing a reading vlog for this book and hopefully picking up the next 3 books in the series. So if you would like to see that, subscribe, because that should be coming relatively soon. The next book is Twin Crowns by Catherine Doyle and Catherine Webber. This is a YA fantasy. This is a chunky book. StoryGraph recommended this one to me because I have created a personal challenge in 2025 to read the book box. It's so difficult to say. I have refilmed this probably about 10 times now. The backlist book box or the book box backlist. I can't decide what sounds better or what makes more sense. But basically, I am going back through the main UK book subscription boxes and reading books that were featured in those to try and diversify my reading. So this one features in the Fairy YA box. And it is a high-stakes fantasy that follow 2 sisters who are princesses. So the 2 main characters are Wren and Rose, and they were separated at birth. One of them was raised to be the heir for the throne and take over the kingdom, whereas the other one was actually taken away at birth and trained to kill the other in order to avenge her parents' deaths. Her parents' deaths. This is a book trilogy, and I believe there is also a spin-off series coming soon. So I will try and read all 3 books in January if I enjoy the first one. Next is The Foxglove King by Hannah Witten, and StoryGraph chose this one for me because apparently it matches the mood and pace to other books that I have previously enjoyed. Can I just say that this cover is stunning? This book follows Law, who is a spy and a poison smuggler, and she has the ability to channel illegal death magic. Law is actually caught using death magic, and she is arrested and taken to Presque Mort, which is a coven. It's not a coven. What are they called? I was going to say a coven of monks. No, just a group of monks who are allowed to practice death magic under the watchful eye of the king. Outside of the king's court, the villagers are dying and the king wants to know why. So he blackmails Law into investigating the deaths. But then there is not much more in the synopsis, so I don't know what the rest of this story entails, so I'm really intrigued to read it and find out what is going on in this book. I was drawn to this book because of the cover and also the fact that it involves death magic. That sounds really interesting to me. The spy smuggly element doesn't call to me. That's something that I would usually avoid, but I'm gonna give this one a go. And like I said, StoryGraph thinks I will enjoy this one, so we will see. The next book is Death at Morning House by Maureen Johnson, and StoryGraph recommended this to me because I have previously enjoyed books from this author before. I read the Truly Devious series and I didn't love them. They're not an all-time favourite, but I did enjoy them. I'm interested in reading more YA thrillers and mysteries because they're a little bit hit and miss for me. It's not a genre that I have explored fully. Of the books I have read, about 50-50 I have liked or hated, and I mean hated. Not just, yeah, this wasn't for me. I mean hated. So I want to pick up some more to try and get a better opinion on the genre as a whole. So this one is a standalone and we follow Marlowe, who is working as a tour guide in a 1920s mansion called Morning House. Whilst there, she uncovers a gruesome history of deaths linked to the house, and she decides to investigate and find out more about what has been going on. This has a sapphic main character, which I am really excited about, and I'm also going to be buddy reading this with my partner. The next book is Spells for Forgetting by Adrienne Young, and StoryGraph recommended this to me because users who have enjoyed similar books to me enjoyed this one. I'm unsure about this one. The contemporary themes and lack of witches kind of scares me. Like I said, witchcraft and dark magic is my go-to, and this doesn't seem to contain any of that. This seems to have a strong contemporary theme. So I'm unsure, but I'm willing to give it a go. Adrienne Young actually has a new release coming out in January, and I spoke a bit more about it in my January releases video. So if you haven't seen that, check it out up here. I will link it in the description. So if I enjoy this book, then I will definitely be picking up her January release. But if I don't enjoy this book, then maybe she isn't for me, because her books seem to have quite a similar vibe. They all have absolutely beautiful covers though. This follows a young woman called Emery who must confront her first love, August, when she returns to the island on which they both grew up. But August was actually accused of murdering Emery's best friend, Lily. Strange things start to happen on the island of Saoirse, and betrayals and hidden truths threaten to reveal the truth behind Lily's death. Like I said, I'm interested in this because of the mystery element. Like, I want to know what happened to Lily. But again, the contemporary and the lack of romance is scaring me a little bit. Did I say lack of romance? So the next book I am absolutely terrified about, and that is The Selection by Kiera Cass. This is an absolute BookTube OG. This was spoken about loads back when it was released. This is highly shelved on StoryGraph, which is why it was recommended to me, but it is also on the Goodreads list of the best YA books of all times, and it also won lots of Goodreads Choice Awards for various books in the series. Like I said, I'm trying to reread old favourites and diversify my reading and give books a chance that I might previously have dismissed. And this is a book series that I have dismissed. This is a dystopian YA that follows a girl called America who is competing for the hand of the prince or something along those lines. This is absolutely not up my street. This absolutely screams not for me. But we're going to give it a go. That is the challenge this year, to read things out of my comfort zone and give things a try. But the problem is, if I like this book, I am going to try and reread all of the other books in this series in a vlog. So I am hoping to God that I do not like this book. So I can just read it and be like, okay, done, shelve it, move on with my life. Whereas if I enjoy it, I am committing to the whole series. And not only is that incredibly time consuming, especially when I already have 10 books on my TBR, but it is also incredibly expensive to buy that many books all at once. So onto the final book in this what just happened? Onto the final book in my TBR, and that is The Vanishing Bookstore by Helen Pfeiffer. If you have not seen my January 2025 release video, I will link it up there because I talk about this book more in depth because, like I said, it is releasing in January. StoryGraph recommended this to me because it is the book that has been shelved the least on my TBR, but obviously it has not been released yet, so that does make sense. It doesn't indicate that it is a bad book, it's just not out there for consumption yet. So I have pre-ordered this, which is why it has ended up on my TBR. So I do not own it yet, but as soon as it is released, it will make its way to my Kindle and I will give it a read. So this book starts in historical Salem, where a girl is hiding a journal under the floor of a bookstore. She hears the sound of hounds in the background and flees, and as she does, the bookstore vanishes behind her. Then in present day, we follow a main character who is preparing to meet her mother, who she had previously believed to have died in her childhood, and she has not seen her since. Her hopes for a meaningful family reunion are very quickly shattered when her mother warns her that both of their lives are in danger and the key to their survival is by finding the vanishing bookstore. I have a feeling that this book may end up in the 2025 Goodreads Awards. It just gives me those sorts of vibes of the type of book that might end up there. So I'm looking forward to reading this, and we shall see at the end of the year whether my prediction was right. So those are all of the books that I plan to pick up in January. I think I'm the most excited about Wicked because of my current obsession, closely followed by Death at Morning House because I'm very ready for some upbeat, exciting, fun mysteries. Obviously, I don't know if it will be that, but I'm hoping it will. And also Twin Crowns. I'm ready to dive into some fantasy and maybe connect with the characters. I'm hoping that because this is a trilogy, that the characters are quite fleshed out and I'll really get a feel for them and I'll really be rooting for them. Those are the 3 books that I'm looking forward to the most from this TBR, but I'm actually excited to get to all of them. I cannot wait for the 1st of January to get stuck into these books. There is such a variety of genres and subgenres in this video. We have dystopian, mystery, historical, whatever you classify Wicked as. There are new releases, there are old releases, there is so much on this TBR. There are so many new books and authors for me to try for the first time and hopefully fall in love with. And it's a new year, it's a blank page. I have new goals, I have new challenges, I have a new spreadsheet, I have a new channel. I am so excited to go. Please let me know down in the description what you are planning on reading in January. And if you have read any of these books, what were your thoughts? Do you think I will like them? Do you think I will hate them? Please let me know down in the comments. I would love it if you subscribed so you can join me in future videos so we can share our love of books together. Thank you very much for watching. I hope you enjoy the rest of your day and I will see you again soon. Bye!